Welcome Vintage Hollywood Archive. The decline in the film industry is attributable not to the loss of the international market, not to the multiple features or unappealing China, but to Claire Trevor's inability to make up her choice. She can't decide whether she wants to be good or terrible, or whether she wants to be both. And she continued to take breaks from the screen to make up her decision. Why was Claire Trevor always a nasty person? Before we move on, be sure to watch the video all the way through and share your thoughts in the comment section. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to become a part of our fantastic community. Claire Trevor gives reasons for playing wicked women roles. Claire decided to break her extremely lucrative contract and try elsewhere for a little something in the way of sin after 4 long years of cinematic virtue at 20th Century Fox, during which time she portrayed little doves of wide-eyed innocence in 23 films, against all of her friends' advice. "I wanted to be bad," she expressed her desire. That was the 1937 rebellion. The 1940 rebellion was unlike any other. She stated, "I want to be good." Is she a featherbrain or something? No, it was like this. After her breakout roles in Francie in Dead End and Dallas in Stagecoach, she had a hard time finding work. Claire was determined to be the hard dame with the lurid past type, and the Hollywood producers, who are infamous for their short memory, couldn't imagine her as anybody else. That's after those 23 shots of sunshine and sweetness. They'd pick up the phone and dial Claire's number whenever a part in a script called for the kind of girl you wouldn't dare bring home to meet your mother. Finally, she became sick of cinematic humiliation, despite the fact that it had put her in the big bucks, and she retired from the screen once more. This time will last a year. And it was right when the pictures needed her the most. Claire Trevor is a valued asset to the cinema, nice or bad, lady or dame. She is, in fact, an absolute requirement. The majority of people wish she'd keep being a bad girl and leave Lavender and Old Lace to Anita Louise. She was what the doctor ordered for boring audiences, with that great down-to-earth manner and that just wonderful low contralto voice. But we could see where she was coming from. Stereotyping in Hollywood is a nasty thing. Claire still can't make up her mind after a year away from the screen, a year of fussing over in her garden, playing tennis, and being a wife to her very gorgeous husband. So, what exactly does she do? She reappears on the screen in a flash. She's taking 2 shots at the same time and going back and forth from Gower Street to Culver City till she's completely spent. With Claire, it's either double or nothing. Over at Columbia, she was in one of those gigantic epics called Texas, playing cute, hoydenish little Mike, a hoop skirt girl of 1868 with rosebuds on her hat. Next, she was in a drama called Honky Tonk, with that interesting Gable man, playing Gold Dust Nelson of Yellow Creek, one of the roughest games of whoever drank her whiskey straight in a frontier saloon during the Gold Rush days. Claire was unable to make a decision, but at the very least, she came back to the big screen, and that was the best boost to the film industry we can think of in that period. It comes so naturally to me to be a nasty person. Until I portrayed Francie in Dead End, I had no idea. I had no trouble with this part. After that, when the film was released, everyone praised my performance. I had no idea I was doing anything out of the ordinary. The part of Francie in Dead End took a day and a half to shoot and only lasted 2 minutes on screen. But it did me more good than all of the nice, wonderful young women I had been playing for the previous 4 years. So many wondered why she portrayed these nice, wonderful young women, when she could have enough bad girl roles to keep her in government bonds for the rest of her life. "I'm not sure," Claire answered. "However, I do not wish to be typed. If the producers had their way, I'd be the West Coast's Lucretia Borgia in no time. However, I'm not sure why I bother. Take a look at this bonnet I'm wearing. Doesn't it look revolting? That's what happens when you're a good girl." Rosebuds and green twigs were used to make the revolting bonnet. Claire believed it was more fun to be bad. "Come here, honey," is all a bad girl needs to do is lounge around and say. Maybe it's simply because she was lazy, but she did not look like she was enjoying lying about it. A bad girl may not always get her man, like in Honky Tonk, where Lana Turner steals him from Claire, but she always makes it home alive. The day before that, she continued, "The action called for me to open a door quickly and trip over a saddle. Have you ever tripped over a saddle? Jolly, it isn't. Something new in Pratfalls. That little scene, I think, we took 10 minutes. I slept on my stomach last night. Tomorrow, I've got to go out to Metro and swing my hips around in a scene with Gable in a frontier gambling house. I'm so sore from being good. I can't be bad. Some years before Claire had to make up her mind whether she'd take the Primrose Path or the Rosebud Bonnet, she was born into the vastly populated island called Long Island. The family first moved to New York City, and then to Larchmont, where Claire went to high school, and then, when it was a choice of college and dramatic school, chose the latter. Miss Claire Wemlinger, no doubt being a tad lazy, decided she'd rather acquire actual theater experience than get worked up over something that didn't pan out. So she concocted a lovely theatrical backdrop and hung out at casting offices till a new office boy asked for rent. But it was the new office kid who gave her the name that would become famous across the country. Claire St. Clair, he hissed, referring to Claire's initial stage name concoction. You'll never get far with it. Say, I've come up with another for you. Why don't you give Claire Trevor a chance? Claire said she'd do it, and she did. She got a job with Warner's St. Louis Stock Company as Claire Trevor soon after. Her first break came with Ernest Trow in a New York production of Whistling in the Dark, which led to a slew of Hollywood offers. Claire, on the other hand, had the theater in her blood and made a lovely gesture before saying, later. I paid a high price for that gesture, Claire explained. For months and months, I didn't get another play. But she did it, as the lead in The Party's Over, and when the offers came in, she snatched what she hoped would be the best of them all, a contract with 20th Century Fox. She then went on to star in 23 B movies, in which she played sweet, wonderful young women to the point of screaming. Her first film after breaking her contract with 20th Century Fox was Dead End at Goldwyn's, which launched her into a life of humiliation, as you may know. The Gangster's Mall in Warner's The Amazing Dr. Clitterhouse, and Dallas in Wagner's Stagecoach sealed the deal. I never thought Dallas was that horrible, Claire sympathized. She seemed like such a kind girl, but the woman wouldn't have driven her out of town if she didn't have a questionable past. After Stagecoach, I played various good girls to avoid being categorized, Claire explained. I was a dreadful failure, so I was bad once more. She appeared in The Allegheny Uprising and The Dark Command before deciding to take a year off to think things over. That she didn't do. Claire was one of the most well-liked persons in Hollywood, although only a few of them are familiar with her. She was also impulsive, level-headed, warm-hearted, good-natured, and brilliant. She and her hubby were not big on social life and were not often seen in nightclubs. I used to throw little dinner parties now and then, Claire explained, but things always seemed to happen to my guests. I wanted to have a few pals around the other night to meet an old acquaintance from New York. I gave him a call and invited him out to supper. Sorry, Claire, I'm picketing the Carthay Circle tonight, he explained. Claire wed Clark Andrews, a radio writer she met when she was portraying Lorelei in the Big Town broadcasts around 2 years ago. Clark is a big, gorgeous guy who graduated from Yale, was an exceptional tennis player, and is now a writer for 20th Century Fox. I relied on my mother for everything before I married, Claire explained. I'm a forgetful person, and she took care of everything for me, including remembering to wake up in the morning. I used to say that if I ever marry, I'll marry a man who is strong, competent, and capable of taking care of everything for me. As a result, I married a man who is even more forgetful than I am. So, what do you think happened? I became an efficient one. This validates my opinion that males never change and that marriage has no effect on them. When you marry a man, you might as well realize that. He's not going to change his mind. The woman is the one who does the altering. Getting to bed early with a few books and candy, according to Claire, is a luxury for Andrews. She enjoys chocolates in bed and reads into the wee hours of the morning. When Clark gets hungry, she gets some food for him. Then comes the nighttime icebox raid. Claire, who can be obstinate when she wants to be, has only put her foot down twice. The first time was when she told Clark she would never have breakfast with him since she didn't feel that a husband and wife should share a meal. She also urged him to remove that so-and-so radio out of the home and burned it the second time. He'd flip on the military news every few minutes, she claimed. It eventually caught up with me. I wouldn't be shocked if many more young couples would be happier if they didn't start the day with breakfast together and sad world news. Claire, on the other hand, has made up her mind. Trevor's acting vocation spanned 7 decades and includes successes in stage, radio, TV, and cinema, she writes on the Claire Trevor School of the Arts website. She was commonly cast as the hard-bubbled blonde and various miscreants. Trevor began her career after graduating from high school with a half-year of craftsmanship classes at Columbia University and a half-year at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. In late April of 1929, she made her stage debut with a repertory company in Ann Arbor, Michigan. She returned to New York in this manner, appearing in several Vitaphone short films shot in Brooklyn and performing in Summerstock Theater. She made her Broadway debut in 1932 as the female lead in Whistling in the Dark. Life in the Raw, her first film, featured her. Trevor appeared in 29 films between 1933 and 1938, playing either the protagonist or the heroine. In 1937, she co-starred in Dead End with Humphrey Bogart as the second lead actress after top-billed Sylvia Sidney, earning her a Best Supporting Actress nomination. She co-starred in the successful radio series Big Town with Edward G. Robinson from 1937 to 1940 while continuing to act in films. She was also a regular on the Old Gold Don Ameche show on the NBC Red Radio Network in the early 1940s, co-starring with Ameche in productions of Mark Hellinger's plays. She had a solid reputation as a leading lady by 1939. During this time, she gave some of her most famous performances, including the western Stagecoach. She received her third and last Oscar nomination for her role in The High and the Mighty, almost a decade later in 1954. Trevor's most notable roles were opposite Dick Powell in Murder, My Sweet in 1944, and with Lawrence Tierney in Born to Kill, both with Lawrence Tierney, in 1947. Trevor played Gay Dawn, a cleaned-up dance club artist, and Criminals Mall in Key Largo in 1948. She earned the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for that performance. She earned an Emmy for her performance in The Producers Showcase in Dodsworth in 1957. Trevor transitioned to supporting roles in the 1950s, and her appearances became increasingly rare in the mid-1960s. In Kiss Me Goodbye of 1982, she played Charlotte, Kay's mother, Sally Field. Her most recent television appearance was in Norman Rockwell's Breaking Home Ties, a 1987 television film. In 1998, Trevor attended the 70th Academy Awards. Wondered how wealthy the American on-screen character, who appeared in over 60 films, won an American Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for her role in Key Largo, and received nominations for her roles in The High and the Mighty and Dead End was. Trevor's acting career spanned more than 7 decades and includes accomplishments in theater, radio, television, and film. Trevor starred in Johnny Angel, The High and the Mighty, for which she received her 3rd Academy Award nomination, Marjorie Morningstar, How to Murder Your Wife, and Kiss Me Goodbye, her final movie, all of which were among Trevor's later features. Trevor returned to the stage on occasion, and she also made several television appearances. She won an Emmy Award for one of her television performances in the production of Dodsworth in 1956. Trevor passed away on April 8, 2000, at the age of 90, from respiratory failure in Newport Beach, California. Her 2 stepsons and extended family were among those who survived her. She has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame at 6933 Hollywood Boulevard, in honor of her contributions to the film business. Hollywood actresses are often stereotyped into a certain kind of role. For example, can you imagine Mimi Van Doren as the innocent protagonist whose heart needs to be won in a romantic way? Nope. Mamie was a femme fatale. Watch this video and find out what's underneath the surface, and was Mamie Van Doren really a bad girl to the core?